we're going to watch this video about Brendan Fraser. That's what we're going to do. Because I like Brendan Fraser, and I hope I'm saying his name right, or else I'll feel silly, but it says Brendan Fraser's unbelievable comeback. He has a pretty tragic story. I'm sure they're going to get into it as it goes on. Let's get going.
When you go to watch a new action movie, what kind of main character do you love to see?
The Rock.
If you're like most people, you probably enjoy watching a character who's bold, courageous, and being good looking doesn't hurt either. Someone who starts off with virtually no chance of winning and triumphs anyway. They overcome great adversity, pain, and loss, but ultimately their suffering and hard work is finally rewarded. But most actors who play these characters aren't the same off screen. We often hear stories of celebrities who are narcissists, abusers, and worse. The cynical nature of Hollywood seems to create as many monsters off screen as it does on. Brendan Fraser is the exception. This is a man who's trying
Hey, what about Thomas Hanks? Tom Hanks I don't think is that bad either. Right? He's a nice guy. He's a cool guy. He's a handsome guy.
Most popular leading roles of his day, whose career was on a path toward immortality on the silver screen. Until the wings
and did you see his episode in Scrubs? It was a really good episode. It was so sad. You know, you might want to skip this part, but he was on Scrubs, and I forget all the characters' names, but like that one doctor that was kind of an asshole, but he was like a really good doctor. The young guy. Well, no, he wasn't that young. He like it was like his best friend that had passed away, and he was like imagining him or something there the whole time. It was so sad. What an episode, dude.
Of fate and the cold cruelty of those around him ultimately led to his blacklisting and downfall. Personal tragedy and undeserved bad luck hounded him at every corner. What Brendan endured would make most people give up and become cynical, and no one could have blamed him for doing so. But he didn't. Let's take a look at the rise.
You know what's crazy, though? I remember the other day I came across something on TikTok, and it was like Adam Sandler talking about Brendan Fraser in like a really positive way. He's like, yeah, you know, I liked you a lot back in the day. I made sure that you were in a movie with me, this and other thing. And then during like the whole thing where Brandon got canceled because like, I'm sure they'll get into it. It was really a fucked up reason. It didn't seem like Adam Sandler was anywhere near him then. Like, it's like now that Brendan Fraser's back and he's you know, he's fair game now. People are allowed to like him again. That's when people are like the celebrities like, oh yeah, I've always liked you. Oh yeah, but it's like, did you? You know? I don't know.
Fall, an unbelievable comeback of Brendan Fraser. First, I'd like to thank our sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends. Now, I know what you're thinking, jabroni. Everybody on YouTube talks about Raid. I already know it.
Jabroni, you do look like a jabroni. That The Rock would say you're a jabroni. Nah, you look like a cool guy. You're a nice guy. I like your content. I'm just goofing around with you, brother.
Everything about the game. There's nothing you could possibly tell me that I don't already know, and that's where you're wrong. They're constantly adding more content to this game. There's new champions and new updates every single month. Champions come from different factions, and Raid just released a brand new faction called the Sylvan Watchers. Wow. The Sylvan Watchers have forest elves, scary-looking tree spirits, and even living rock monsters. They made their home in Mistwood, a huge jungle in the east of Teleria. It's not easy to visit them with wild animals in the jungle, and the Sylvan themselves aren't too fond of trespassers. They do have a city that's open to visitors called Nyresa, which you can go check out now. And there's even more new content. To kick off the new year, there's a fresh raid update with a bunch of new features, including a new season of the Forge Pass for all your artificers, the Polarium Points program where you can earn in-game goodies, including a legendary champion and more. Speaking of champions, there's a whole batch of cool ones coming this month as well. And Raid's got a new extra bonus.
Speaking facts, brother.
You can get legendary champion Ronda Chase for free just by playing.
Oh yeah, that's Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey's in Raid Shadow Legends now. How cool. Where the fuck is this idiot? Like, why is he not doing any damage or anything?
Raid for 7 days until February 20th. Promo code RAIDRONDA to get some items to boost her up.
This is how we're doing it.
If you haven't started playing Raid yet, click my link in the description or scan the QR code here on screen. You'll get unique bonuses worth $30. We're talking a free epic champion, Konaru, 200,000 silver, 1 XP boost, 1 energy refill, and an epic skill tome. Available for 30 days for new players only. And once you're in game, come find me under the name Jabroni with a 0. Here, I'll show you. Can you see that? Huge thanks to Raid for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to the story. Brendan Fraser was born in Indianapolis in 1968 to his father Peter and his mother Carol Mary. Brendan's dad worked for the Canadian Government Office of Tourism as a foreign service officer. This meant the family moved a lot. California, Washington, Ontario, the Netherlands, and Switzerland were all places the family lived while Brendan grew up. When you call that many places home, it starts to feel like you don't have a home. But where Brendan did feel at home was watching movies. He loved watching action movies like Star Wars, where he could get lost in the story and excitement that comes with an epic adventure. While on vacation with his family in London one summer, Brendan saw his first professional theater show. This gave him an idea. He could be a part of the stories he loves so much and go to places that...
Isn't it weird a lot of these people start out in theater? And let's be real, man. Theater people are such nerds. You ever meet a theater person before? They're so cringe, bro. I have a friend who's in theater, and he's a good friend of mine, but he's still... I'm going to go see one of his shows in a month or so. It's going to be cool.
Only existed in his mind. He could be an actor. When Brendan graduated from high
school... Would I ever sponsor Raid? Probably not, dude. I don't really... Personally, like, I don't care. The game doesn't seem like a kind of game I would like. Seems like it's just a big, like, pay to win type of a thing. I'm not into that, so I wouldn't really do that.
He enrolled at the Cornish College of the Arts in Seattle. After getting his bachelor's degree, Brendan enrolled at SMU in Texas to pursue a master's degree. He had the whole summer of 1991 before classes started, and he had student loans to pay off. So Brendan borrowed his mom's Chevy Spectrum and drove from Seattle to Los Angeles. His plan was to work in LA for the summer and then continue on to Dallas when classes started. He set out to find some acting work and showed up at a casting call for a movie called Dogfight. Brendan described that day saying, "They gave me a sailor outfit along with some other guys, and we did a punch-up scene with some Marines. And I got my Screen Actors Guild card and an extra $50 for the stunt adjustment because they threw me into a pinball machine. I think I bruised a rib, but I was like, that's okay, I'll take it. I can do it again. If you want, I'll break it. You want me to do it again?" Soon after, Brendan tried out for a movie called School Ties. The producer remembers, "We were less than 4 weeks away from principal photography and we still didn't have the boy." Brendan came into the room very shy. We said, "Here are the scenes, read." And suddenly his stance changes, and this person emerges whom you can't take your eyes off. He's like all the good ones. They become the person. Brendan got the lead in School Ties alongside another unknown actor at the time named Matt Damon. The next 18 months were a whirlwind for Brendan as he was winning roles left and right, including another lead role in the movie Encino Man, where Brendan played a lovable caveman who was found frozen by 2 teenagers and thawed out in the modern world. He never ended up going to get that degree.
Oh yeah, I heard. I never saw that movie.
From SMU. Brendan was making it in Hollywood, but he never let it go to his head.
And that's fortunate to play the part of a schoolboy, and an aspiring athlete, and then I'm just so happy I'm just gushing here. I'm so happy I had the opportunity to sort of come full circle.
In 1993, Brendan met an actress named Afton Smith at a barbecue in LA. The two hit it off, and he was instantly smitten with her. They started dating while both were auditioning for roles in Hollywood. Brendan was always working, taking a ton of roles during this time, including George of the Jungle in 1997. Around the same...
Now that movie I remember seeing. I used to love George of the Jungle. I watched that movie a lot. I don't know why kids watch the same movies 500 times, but I did watch it constantly.
Time, Brendan landed a massive role. He was set to be the lead on The Mummy, an action-adventure movie where Brendan's character tried...
And The Mummy is very well known for its excellent CGI. I don't know if you guys have seen it before, but it's really good. If you saw The Rock, you can't even tell it's The Rock. That's how good it is. It looks like something completely different.
Travels to the city of the dead and accidentally awakens an ancient cursed high priest. Filming took place over a couple years, and Brendan was traveling all over the world to work on this movie. During this time in 1998, Brendan asked Afton to marry him. He said, "I knew I could combine my personal and professional ambitions and have a friend to be within her." 5 years later, she did me the honor of being my wife. In 1999, The Mummy was finally ready for release. This was a big gamble for Universal at the time, as there weren't many action movies with a budget of $80 million in 1999. The movie finally released and was met with massive success. Audiences loved Brendan's carefree performance as a solid guy who didn't take himself too seriously. The film ended up grossing over $415 million. Brendan was on top of the world. Brendan's success wasn't without cost.
And then The Rock took him over. Damn.
He wanted to do a good job and please his bosses because he was worried about his career drying up. Being an actor, after all, is a freelance job. If the studio doesn't want to work with you again, they generally don't have to. And being a humble and hardworking person, he would do pretty much whatever was asked of him and never say no, including to dangerous stunts.
I almost gave my life at one point during a hanging sequence. I was on a platform with a rope around my neck, and I remember the camera came around. I thought, I'm gonna make this look really good. So I sort of took a few deep breaths and kind of bared down, and then I realized I was on the balls of my feet, and the rope was going up and I had nowhere to go.
What the fuck?
And then the world kind of dialed down. And I came to, and I didn't know what was going on, and the stunt coordinator comes over and he's clapping in my face going, Brendan, wake up, wake up, wake up. And
that's fucking nuts. And I feel like back in the days, this was more acceptable. Like I remember watching a little documentary on The Exorcist or whatever, and that movie, and I haven't actually watched it, but a lot of people, it's like revered as like one of the best movies ever made, especially in the horror genre. And the fucking psychological torture that these people had to go through, even the kid, like the actual child had to go through, was fucking insane. And like it came out brilliantly, but they would used to like not give a shit about those actors. I remember like one of the conditions that they had to do, I think, was that they had to do it all while it was really cold. They had to make sure the room was like super cold, which sounds like it doesn't sound as bad. But then like the young girl had to be in just like pajamas because she was like in the bed. She's getting exorcisted, right? And it just really like psychologically fucks people up. It was fucked, man. That shit's crazy. Nowadays they're lame. They'll actually make sure you don't die, which is kind of cringe, but you know, whatever. But it's fucked.
I did.
The Shining too. Yeah, The Shining.
You just joined a club with Mel Gibson. He got choked out on Braveheart too.
Over the next few years, Brendan and Afton would have 3 boys, Griffin, Holden, and Leland. Brendan absolutely loved his kids.
Here, you had a son?
That's right. Yeah, he's 14 months old now.
Good for you.
Hi,
Good for
bro.
you.
Yeah.
How do you like? How do you like parenthood?
Love.
You love parenthood.
Absolutely love it. It's the reason to do everything that I do.
An actor working with Brendan in 2003 said, "He loves her so much. It's very beautiful to watch a man's love for his wife be expressed so tenderly.
That's cute.
After the baby was born, I'd ask, how's she doing? And he'd say, she's feeling very tired, but I've never seen her look so beautiful." After The Mummy,
cute.
the public didn't see as much of Brendan on the big screen anymore. He was still getting roles, but they became smaller and less frequent. Action movies of the time were dominated by titles like Mission Impossible with Tom Cruise and The Matrix with Keanu Reeves. The Rock's acting career exploded, and he took center stage in the Mummy universe with the release of The Scorpion King.
That's what I'm saying, bro. The Rock stole his thing. And let's be honest, The Rock is cool. I like The Rock, but he's not a very good actor. You know what I mean? He's a wrestling actor. Frankly, I think that Dave Bautista is better. That's just my opinion, bro. I like him. He's pretty good. You know, just saying. You know, The Rock, kind of cringe. Also, I think he's on steroids, dude. That's okay, though. Who isn't? I'm on tons of them. Just kidding. But yeah. Wow. Incredible.
It seemed like Brendan
Damn,
was getting left in the dust. He slowly stopped doing interviews almost entirely, and the public mostly forgot about him. When he did occasionally appear, people weren't saying very nice things about him. In 2007, Brendan and Afton forgot about him. When he did occasionally appear,
I like to think he did a film just to make a little bit of money or something that he really wants and never heard him. So, dude, it's time to fight. It's time to fight those people. I love Brendan Fraser. He's a legend.
People weren't saying very nice things about him. In 2007, Brendan and Afton announced they were getting a divorce after 9 years of marriage. There weren't many details given at the time other than the statement saying that they continue to maintain a close and caring friendship. But the divorce was anything but close and caring. Afton sued Brendan for child support and alimony, and he was ordered by the court to pay her $50,000 in alimony every month and $25,000 a month in child support. A whopping
That's a lot. I mean, I don't know what he's making, but that is quite a bit. I mean, I understand, like, they're together for 9 years. She crafted her life around him. So I get that she should get some alimony and stuff and child support too, but damn, that just seems like so much. Like, does he even have that much money? It's fucking nuts. Jesus.
$900,000 a year. Brendan petitioned the court for a reduction in his alimony payments, saying he could not afford the $50,000 a month, but didn't contest the $25,000 a month in child support. Afton's response was to sue Brendan for fraud. She claimed that he was hiding financial assets and not disclosing film contracts for 2 movies that were casting him at the time. Brendan's attorney had already given the judge all of Brendan's tax returns, showing that his income was indeed drying up year after year.
Wow.
Brendan's attorney argued that film contracts fall through all the time, and often the amount of money they promise you is not what you end up getting. The judge agreed and ruled that Brendan had not committed fraud, but the court case dragged on for years, and in 2014.
Well, that probably costs a lot of money, and I feel like I wonder if he had to pay for her lawyer as well, because that's how some of this works out, where like you have to end up paying for the lawyer of like your spouse if you're the one that's the financial earner, which could really fuck you, honestly.
The judge ruled against Brendan's request to reduce the $50,000 a month alimony payment, saying, "The court finds that Mr. Fraser continues to enjoy success in the film industry. He has the ability to earn income and acquire assets. The defendant's motion is denied, so ordered." In 2016, Brendan landed a minor role in a Showtime series called The Affair. He had hardly done any interviews or public appearances in many years. This is the moment the public saw a fundamentally different man than the one they had known in the late 90s and early 2000s.
I didn't even know he was in that, dude. I thought he kind of just disappeared. That's crazy. Okay.
I've relented a bit in recent years. I have 3 sons, and I needed to ensure their comfort and safety, and their mother also, lovely and talented, my former wife, Afton.
Damn. He's simping hard. No, I haven't seen his new movie. I should see it, though. My wife and I have been watching all the Harry Potter movies. Rewatching them. It's interesting, but I'll have to watch it. What is it called? Whale or something? What is it?
It was around that time that I think I just asked myself, why am I running so far so fast all at once? And I won't lie, it was part and parcel from having done a lot of stunt work in movies like The Mummy and you name them. I think I was just so game and ready to go no matter what that they figured, well, heck, he's here, he's made up, he's paid for it, you might as well have him jump off the cliff or do whatever you can do. Light him on fire too. I'll just be like, yep, sure, I'll do another one, no problem. Oh, it didn't hurt much.
Brendan was different, and in much of the interview, he seemed like a shell of his former self. He seemed genuinely intimidated to be in the room and burdened by something. Commenter said, "I normally don't care about celebs, but human to human, I want to give this man a hug." He needs it. This is hard to watch.
Yeah.
It's very hard for me as a fan of Brendan to see him like this because he used to be very active and present in interviews. There's a huge sadness in those eyes.
Yeah, he seems like a little bit of a broken man, yeah.
Even though he seemed broken, Brendan was still humble as ever.
It's not called The Whale, it's called Papa Gut. Incredible. Thank you so much, Noah. I appreciate it.
Slowly but surely, Brendan started to get roles again. 5 episodes of a miniseries here, 6 episodes as a minor character there.
Yeah, he was in like a DC, fuck, I forgot what the movie's called, or the show's called, Dr. Doom or Mr. Doom or something. I forget what it was. I never watched it, but I heard it got really good reviews, but they never renewed it.
They weren't major, but he was working. By this time, Brendan had built up something of a cult following on the internet. A lot of fans had taken notice of how Hollywood had treated him and were rooting for
there's definitely a part. I'm pretty sure that like he got Me Too, and that's the reason why he lost a lot of traction.
him to make a comeback. In 2018, Brendan was cast for a role in a TV show called Trust. GQ magazine sent one of their staff writers, Zach Barron, to visit with Brendan at his home in
Doom
rural
Patrol.
New York
Yeah,
State.
there you go. Thank
Zach
you.
didn't want to just ask Brendan about the new TV show coming out. He actually made an effort to get to know him and spent several days with him. Brendan introduced Zach to his horse, Pickus, and invited Zach.
His name is Pickus? Pickaxe?
He actually made an effort to get to know him and spent several days with him. Brendan introduced Zach to his horse, Pickus,
Pickus? You're a nerd.
and invited Zach to practice archery with him. Brendan explained how some physical activities were very difficult for him now, saying, "By the time I did the 3rd mummy picture in China, I was put together with tape and ice. I was building an exoskeleton for myself daily. I needed a laminectomy, and the lumbar didn't take, so they had to do it again a year later." Brendan explained various back and knee surgeries he had undergone, and even one surgery on his vocal cords. Fans knew he had suffered
Wow, what the fuck? From from him doing his own stunts? That's crazy.
injuries, but this was the first time the true extent of them had been revealed. Brendan told Zach that he had been in and out of hospitals for nearly 7 years. Zach asked Brendan about the interview 2 years prior, where he seemed so broken. Brendan told Zach that his mother had just died of cancer days before the interview, saying, "I buried my mom. I think I was in mourning, and I didn't know what that meant. I wasn't quite sure what the format was, and I felt like, man, I got fucking old. Damn, is this the way it's done now?" Zach ended up getting a lot of great material for an article way beyond a fluff piece about a new show, and Brandon went back to filming Trust. But just a few weeks after they met in person, Zach's phone rang. It was Brendan. Brendan said that he had something he wanted to tell Zach that he couldn't quite bring himself to speak about in person. He apologized, in his words, for not having the courage to speak up for risk of humiliation or damage to my career. Brendan then recounted a story that took place in the summer of 2003 in the Beverly Hills Hotel in Los Angeles. The Hollywood Foreign Press Association, the organization that hosts the Golden Globes, was holding a luncheon. As Brendan was leaving the hotel, Philip Burke motioned for Brendan to come speak with him. Philip Burke was a former president of the association and undoubtedly carried some serious weight in Hollywood. As Brendan approached him, Philip reached out to shake hands, but instead reached around and groped Brendan inappropriately. Brendan was overcome with panic and fear in the moment. He was eventually able to remove Philip's hand, saying, "I felt ill. I felt like a little kid. I felt like there was a ball in my throat. I thought I was going to cry. I felt like someone had thrown invisible paint on me." Brendan rushed home and told his wife Afton what had happened. He struggled with the idea of going to the police or going public with his account and said, "I didn't want to contend with how that made me feel or it becoming part of my narrative." So Brendan buried it.
Was there more to that? I don't even know what the police would have done. I'm not trying to downplay it. That's fucking scary as shit, it sounds like. But was there more to this story?
"I felt like there was a ball in my throat." Eventually able to remove Philip's hand, around and groped Brendan inappropriately. Brendan was overcome with pain. Said, "I didn't want to contend with how that made me feel or it becoming part of my narrative." So Brendan
that makes sense too, because then that's one of the fucked up parts about different like shit like this is that coming forward, that makes it almost like it can be like an additional aspect to your trauma. It's fucked up. Damn.
His confusion, fear, and shame all locked away for all those years. He told Zach, "I became depressed. I was blaming myself and I was miserable because I was saying, this is nothing. This guy reached around and copped a feel." That summer wore on, and I can't remember what I went to work on next. The experience made me retreat. It made me feel reclusive. Soon after the incident, Brendan's representative reached out to the HFPA and requested a written apology from Philip, who replied that he was sorry if he made Brendan feel uncomfortable, but admitted no wrongdoing. Brendan says the association didn't invite him back much after that, and work started drying up for him.
Yeah, that's the fucked up part too. Damn. That's fucked. He got groped by some dude. And then when he's like, "I want an apology," the guy's like, "Yeah, okay, no." And then they just don't have him come. That's fucked up, bro.
He told Zach, "Work withered on the vine for me. In my mind, at least, something had been taken away from me. The phone does stop ringing in your career and you start asking yourself why. There's many reasons, but was this one of them? I think it was. I didn't feel that I belonged. Am I still frightened? Absolutely. Do I feel like I need to say something? Absolutely. Have I wanted to many, many times? Absolutely. Have I stopped myself? Absolutely."
That makes sense because like he didn't call for like what, a week or so later to that guy after the interview to say what he wanted to say. Like he probably struggled with that decision for the whole time. Like every day he's like, should I said something? Should I still say something? Should I call him? Should I not? Maybe I should. I wonder how many times he made the decision to do it and then another decision not to do it in those like that period of time. I feel like we all go through that when it's like a really harsh decision that we have to make or a big choice we have to make. It was like, should we do it? No, yes, no. And then you kind of like just rack your head and you rack your brain about it.
And maybe I am overreacting in terms of what the instance was. I just know what my truth is, and it's what I just spoke to you.
Yeah.
This was the first time Brendan had spoken publicly about this incident. For 15 years, it had haunted him, destroying his confidence. And now all the pieces of Brendan's apparent destruction were finally evident for the first time. The desire to please people and work hard to the point of repeated injury had battered Brendan's body permanently. The death of his mother and painful divorce from Afton no doubt battered his heart. And his abuse at the hands of Philip Burke shook Brendan to his soul and left him blacklisted and questioning his very being. But after all this time, Brendan had finally overcome his fear and shared his story. Maybe now he could finally find peace. In 2021, Brendan was cast for The Whale, an upcoming feature-length film. Not only was he cast in a big movie for the first time in a long time, Brendan was cast as the lead actor.
I'm going to work with Scorsese and Leo and Bob De Niro.
Yes, I saw. Congratulations.
It's just funny. Bob De Niro. That's just kind of cute the way that he said that. Yeah, I'm gonna work with Leo and Scorsese and Bob De Niro. Like he's like that's his friends, you know. I know that sounds silly, but it's like yes, my friends. The way at least the energy, it's a nice, fun energy. I like it.
Thank you. I think I might be sick. A little anxious.
Oh no!
I mean, it's gonna be fun.
You got this. You got this.
Got it.
Just know that the internet is so behind you. We're so supportive. There are so many people out there who love you, and we're rooting for you, and we can't wait to see what you do next.
Shucks, ma'am.
As the film wrapped production, it was shown at several festivals around the world. Fans gave Brendan a standing ovation everywhere this film was screened.
Wow, that's what a beautiful moment.
One reporter asked Brendan if he would attend the Golden Globe.
I'm not being sarcastic. That's incredible.
If he were nominated now. No, I will not participate. It's because of the history that I have with him, and my mother didn't raise a hypocrite. You can call me a lot of things, but not that. For the first time in his career, Brendan had finally learned to say no. No to dangerous stunts, and no to award shows hosted by organizations that blacklisted him. And with this new resolve, his confidence has returned too.
It's a redemption story about a guy called Charlie, and he's gone through significant life changes, and he's forgotten about who he is to the ones he loves, and he's running out of time to tell them that if he can at all. But he has a superpower. Charlie can see the good in others when they can't see that in themselves, and he can bring that out in them. And I am a firm believer that we need a little bit more of that in this world, because it's the audience that gives cinema life. So I must thank you for keeping me in the job that I love.
If you like this video, you'll probably...
Beautiful moment. Sad stuff, man. I like Brendan. I'm gonna go watch that movie.
I want Papa Gut to pee on my face, but just as a friend. There's nothing weird about that. I want him to pee on my face.